Hey there, what is up, all you awesome, wonderful people who showed up here to check out a video that I make for whatever reason that brought you here. I thank you. I appreciate you as we wind down another week, another Sunday video, another chance to reflect on what a week it's been. So, today you have a very, very tired and sore Odin because my entire weekend was filled with this never-ending battle with these pine cones and pine needles. Now, I've talked about it on my channel before. I've talked about it on other videos, but these mature ponderosa pines that surround my property, they just shed nonstop. All spring it's pine cones, and all fall it's pine needles. And if I get a really good wind, it's a big combination and mess of both. So yeah, that was my weekend, and I'm going to show you guys a little video footage, a little before and after, to just show how much of an effort this is. And this is every year, and this is just the start. At the end of winter, one spring, once I dedicate an entire weekend just to get to ground zero, I do that, and then I try to stay on top of it the rest of spring and summer. And then fall hits, and I'm just barely hanging on by a thread. And sometimes that bleeds over into winter, and then when the snow melts, I look at it kind of like this time, and I go, damn it. I wish I would have done more in the fall to keep the yard trimmer, because that's a big pain. The ponderosa needles are long pine needles, and they stick in the grass. And if you have longer grass and you're trying to rake it up, anyway, whole bunch of nightmare. And it was a physically exhausting weekend, but there's a very strong sense of accomplishment when you exhaust your body physically like that. It makes the night when you lay down and put your head on that pillar, it makes the rest all the more sweet when you enjoy your evening libation or whatever it were, your treat of sorts. It makes it taste all the much better. So I am still drinking this tin cup whiskey. It's been my favorite for a while now, until I keep trying other stuff and being disappointed, so I keep going back to the tin cup. But yeah, so when you do that, you feel much better. Now, I haven't had a laborious job in a long time. When I was a young man, I worked a lot of labor jobs, construction labor. I was a hod carrier, which is a brick mason attendant, and then did tons of production manufacturing jobs that were very laborious. And now I've arrived, not really, but I've arrived to a desk job where I sit on my ass all day, or most of the day. I still get some physical elements in, but it's not like what it once was. But I remember that feeling of, like, at the end of the day, that beer tasted extra sweet. That sleep was extra sound. So there is something to be said for physical labor. Now, and I try to stay active all year long, but in the winter, I know I get complacent. I know it's cold outside and there's no kind of atmosphere. My Red Dwarf fans will get that. But I talk myself out of it a little bit more because of the cold. And I eat a little bit more because of the holidays and because of the, being inside when it's cold. You just eat more. Until I just spilled on myself. But anyway, enough about that. I will show a video highlight here in a sec. But what you see here is very light pencils. You may not even be able to make it out, but it is new Unconditional Shove Volume 2 page that we're working on, and already stepping in and starting in on that. Unconditional Shove Volume 2 is actually going to be a whole different animal in a lot of ways. It's going to feature a few stories that I don't write, and it may even feature some artwork from other artists, but probably only one. But that said, it's not going to be just the Odin showcase. For one, I don't know if I can finish annually and still keep the page count where I want it to be and like the story amount. And two, I like the idea of having a few collaborations. So we've got some guest writers on a few stories I'll be drawing. There'll still be stories that I'm drawing and writing, but there's going to be more of them. So volume 1 was just 2 stories, and they were a little more stretched out. And I want to do more like condensed, shorter stories. So that'll be volume 2. You can barely see anything, so it's kind of boring. So I will show this. I drew this on JBot's Wednesday night art jam, and which was a lot of fun. And I always enjoy JBot's Wednesday night art jams. They are a lot of fun. And we always pick a random topic to draw, and he's like, I'd never drawn Frog G. And I was like, well, neither have I. So this is my Frog G one stream. I guess we were going about 2 hours or so worth of drawing. And this is going to go out to the wonderful Fanta. Phantasmagorical is her full name. And I'll link her YouTube channel because she's really awesome. The amount of promotion she does, I'd say maybe hundreds of campaigns that she spotlighted on her channel to try to bring more eyes to. And she is just a sweetheart in general. And so she was in the chat and she was like, what are you doing with these drawings afterwards? And I was like, you know what, Fanta, you're pure awesome. I'm just going to send it out to you. So this one will be going out to Fanta as an appreciation for not just your promotion for Unconditional Shove and Broken Compass Comics, but just for creators in general. You know, it's appreciated. You know, we're all trying to, you know, make awesome stuff and get it out there. And so every bit of promotion that somebody else throws our way, it's like, of course, it's ridiculously appreciated, or should be. And so it's the least I could do, Fanta, and I definitely appreciate you and what you do for independent comics and the creators who are just, we're all struggling and trying to get something out there. So I'll gladly send this your way. So yeah, real quick, I will show you the before and after what happened at my property. So it's a little walk around tour of, well, just a little small part of where I live, but let's see if I can find that display capture. Oh, there it is. So here we start here, and you can see off in the distance the many piles, because I like to break it up into these little bite-sized piles that I can scoop up and throw in a wheelbarrow. But there's a lot of them, as you'll see. So we'll take a little walk, and then I'll also show the giant ponderosas that are the bane of my existence. And there's so much more to do, and there was so much I did before I took this video. But this is just just to give you an idea of what my weekend was. Like I said, when the grass grows taller, there's these ponderosas. They're very mature, so they just drop shit all the time. But I didn't get a good mow on my grass before the snow fell, and so it was very long, which makes it really hard to rake. I did get the patio. It looked pretty good before I took the video. But that was a lot of work in and of itself. That patio was just strewn with pine needles and pine cones. The pile I got out of that was ridiculous. So this is the giant Mount pine needle pine cone. Now it's all composting in there, but pine needles compost really slow. So I may throw some like green matter in there to help, which I have. There's some grass clippings I've thrown in there, but and that was the monster mountain before I threw the rest of the shit on there. So this is the after video. Yeah, walk around and yeah, it's just the same walk around with all those little piles picked up, and it's much nicer. It feels good. But as I've mentioned on here before, one good windstorm and it feels like I didn't do anything. There's just pine needles and pine cones everywhere. We got a little rain, which was also nice, especially when I was working hard. It felt good. And there's the monster with lots of contributions added. Lots of wheelbarrow drops on top of it. I wonder if I could do a monster story, kind of like a what was that? Creep Show. Do a pine needle monster, kind of like the Moss thing with Stephen King at the end. That'd be kind of cool. But anyway, that was my weekend, and it may not, I don't know, it may not look like a lot. It may look like a lot, but it's a pain in the ass every year, especially this time of year when I try to get to like a 0 point. So I go, at least I can try to stay on top of it. But it's a constant battle, especially because on that patio I like to have a little fire pit thing that I bring out. I like to have a little fire out there, but it's not something I do when the thing's like strewn with pine needles everywhere. So anyway, that was my weekend. Let's see what else is going on. And normally I do a breakdown of the season of Twilight Zone that I've been watching, but I didn't get through a full season this time, so it's not really going to happen. I'm on season 4. In season 4, they changed the format. They went to 1-hour shows instead of the half-hour format that they'd been doing the first 3 seasons. And it wasn't met very well. And so by season 5, they switched back to half-hour episodes. But there is something interesting about them doing hour-long shows. I prefer the half-hour, and even except for maybe 1 or 2 episodes that I've seen so far. I haven't got through the full season yet, like I said. That could have easily been pared down to be half-hour episodes. There's a couple that I really appreciated that they were an hour long. And the last one I watched was another Richard Matheson, which was great. And then a few episodes before that, I watched one starring a very young Dennis Hopper, who was acting his ass off. He did great. It was actually a really, really impressive episode and really impressive acting by him. So that's a good one. But when I do, I'll do that next week, I'm sure. The breakdown of season 4. And then we'll get on to season 5. But season 4 was kind of an aberration in that way. It was that hour-long format. Just changed things. And then I posted on my social medias that I went and saw Casablanca, my favorite awesome movie theater locally. And really, really enjoyed it. Very, very enjoyable movie and experience. Yeah, the story's great. There's espionage. There's this love triangle going on. And the love triangle was not typical. Like, there was no emasculating of any of the men involved, which was nice. Because both the lead men in that triangle were strong, capable men throughout. And then the female was strong and capable as well. And she wasn't guilty of like playing both sides or something weird. So it was very well done. But what I really appreciated was that the men were men, the women were women, and all of them strong and capable within their gender, within their sex. You know, like I said, the leading man, even with this love triangle thing, no one was emasculated. They were both very strong. And really, Victor Laszlo, still just one of my favorite characters. He's so powerful, and he went through so much shit. He just carries and commands so much power. And I like that. And then there's also a little drop in from Peter Lorre. I always love Peter Lorre. The weirdest faces and weirdest voices ever. So that was fun. You know, Sam the Piano Man, everything was great. It was extremely enjoyable. One of the best movies, you know, generally speaking, one of the best movies ever made. So, you know, universally praised by critics. And I could see why. And it was very enjoyable to see it on the big screen. And then the other night I went and saw The Princess Bride, which is one I've seen a zillion times, you know, but I mean, I raised my kids on Princess Bride. But it was fun to see it in the theater. That's always the experience. And then everyone you go, and everyone that's there, you know, we've all seen it. And so there's lots of cheering and clapping at all the right times. It makes it kind of fun. So I'll never forget. This was really cool. You know, Inigo Montoya searching for the six-fingered man, and he finally finds him. And he's about to exact his revenge. He's been waiting his whole life for this moment. And then he tells him, you know, offer me money, offer me power. And the guy's like, I'll give you anything you want, whatever you want. And then Inigo runs him through with his sword, and he goes, I want my father back, you son of a bitch. Everyone, there was an uproar within the crowd. It was just a lot of cheering and clapping. Even though we've all seen it a million times, you know, it's like we were all excited. And that moment's extremely dramatic in this movie that's very light and fun and comedic. That moment is a little darker, a little more dramatic. And he also says, son of a bitch. I want my father back, you son of a bitch. So, pretty intense scene, and it was fun to watch it with other people and get that visceral moment together. The only kind of annoying thing was there's a lady near me that was quoting the entire thing, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, lady, we've all seen, like, I could quote this thing in my sleep. I know this movie like the back of my hand, but I don't feel the need to, like, say it, you know. So slightly annoying, but not, it is what it is. And they've got some good ones coming up. They got a stretch of ones that I'm probably not going to see that aren't, they're all right, but they're not huge to me. But then they're going to kick it off here in a week or two with Little Shop of Horrors, which that'll be a whole lot of fun, especially if they show the director's cut ending. It would be great. And then they're playing Stand By Me, which is a movie, man. I saw that when I was a little kid at the theater. I just remember I loved the movie. In the theater, my brother and I were just blown away. But I remember afterwards, my dad was like, there's too much language. And I was like, whatever. It was a good movie. And I remember my brother and all our friends, we would like try to reenact that movie and try to like have our own little Stand By Me experience. So excited to see that one. May the 4th, they're going to do Return of the Jedi for the 4th be with you kind of thing. May the 4th be with you. that one's probably going to be a big thing. They got like a big life-size Darth Vader thing in the theater now, and they're trying to make a big deal out of it. So I don't know if I'll go, or if I do, I have to get there early. Actually, they may already be sold out for all I know, because they're making a big deal about May the 4th and doing Jedi, which would be a lot of fun to re-experience Return of the Jedi on the big screen. I'd rather see Jedi or Empire, but nonetheless, I love them all. The first three, the real three. After that, they got some like Fight Club, and what was the other one that was pretty good? And then this one's a big one. This one's gonna be really cool. So I went and saw the Birds there a while back for the 60th anniversary of the Birds, and I think it's the 60th anniversary of Vertigo. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing Vertigo there. Because I've really enjoyed seeing the Birds. And Vertigo, I mean, that's kind of like really peak Hitchcock. So yeah, looking forward to that. So lots of good ones coming up. Like I said, there's a little stretch where I'm like, it's all right. Probably not going to see it. Like, they're playing like Sweeney Todd, which I like the movie all right, but it's not really one that I'm like dying to see at the theater. So what else? So I know I haven't posted nearly as many driving and singing videos. Part of it is because I've been working on doing a little more rock stuff. And I just have to say, I know a lot of people really like the oldies and the country. The oldies stuff and the country stuff is pop, you know. Like whatever anyone says, country music is pop for white people, basically, or for a certain demographic. It's pop music, and so it's pretty simple melodies. You know, vocally, some of it's pretty impressive, and so it takes talent and stuff. But like, it's easier to remember the lyrics, and I think that's one of the bigger things. Like when I've been trying to do some of the rock stuff, like especially some of the songs I've been choosing are pretty long, and then I've heard them a million times, but I've been singing the lyrics wrong. You know, I'm just kind of like singing along and not knowing. There's certain parts where I'm like, what does he actually say there? I just kind of been mumbling something, you know. So to learn the parts, and then also it's much more of a stretch for my voice, so there's been a few recordings where I'm like, yeah, I'm not hitting that. Or, you know, like I can hit it some other time, but today I'm not. And I've actually been setting aside, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but I've been setting aside a blooper reel. Because there's plenty of times where I get like halfway through a song and I fuck up one part and you'll see me like, fuck, and then stop the video. So I'll put a little compilation of blooper reel videos here eventually. But yeah, I've been wanting to do more of those, but just some of these ones they use a little more of their lungs, which sometimes when I'm driving, it's hard. Like, I'll be in the moment, and then I'll like have to pay attention to driving, and I'll fuck it up, and I'll be like, shit, to the blooper reel. But I want to do more of those. I want to eventually do more narration videos, because I really enjoyed the Telltale Heart. I just haven't found the time to really engross myself in a certain reading that I want to do. But it will come. Let's see. Yeah, that's about all I got. You know. Same as always. So, 420. That was recent. And joined my friend Justin Belmont who notorious pothead. His book Smokes the Fox is all about a pot smoking fox, so you know, very engrossed in weed culture. So he had a 420 stream and invited me on, and was glad to hang out with him. He's always fun. Him and Good Stuff co-host, and some of my favorite people. I really enjoy hanging out with them. And then the whole crew on that 420 stream was a interesting cast of characters. Had fun, but the thing is, I never smoke anymore. I would say from 15 to early 20s, I was 100% in. I smoked a lot, like any chance I could, all the time, always, all the time. And then there were some changes that happened in my life, mostly law enforcement induced, but I, you know, what's the term? Well, I quit smoking weed, but I was saying weaned myself. There we go. I weaned myself off of weed until to the point when I quit smoking altogether. And I quit doing all illegal drugs altogether, because I was kind of on a trajectory. I was trying to do everything and do it to a point, like more aggressive and more crazy than anybody else. And I know people who knew me back then probably were worried about me, and luckily there was a change in my life, that whether it happened through the law or however, but it definitely steered my ship another direction. But anyway, you know, nowadays it's like maybe 2 or 3 times a year I'll partake, and I'm trying to like recapture something, and it's never there. And every time I'm like, I realize why I'm not a smoker. I don't anymore. It's not me anymore. There was a time when I was all about it, and now it feels weird, and I usually get really fucked up. And what's funny is there was a Bill Cosby skit. It wasn't a skit. It was on his stand-up himself. Which, say what you will about Bill Cosby, obviously, but Bill Cosby as himself is one of the funniest stand-up comedy routines I've ever seen. But he talks about people getting high and getting paranoid. And that's what happens to me. So, I'm not socially paranoid or socially... I don't get weird socially. What is it? Socially, not awkward. What am I thinking of? Why can't I think of the word? I feel like I'm stoned right now. Socially insecure. That's the thing. So it's not socially paranoid or socially insecure. But whenever I smoke weed, if I'm around other people, I start wondering if I'm laughing at the right time, or if I'm coming across weird. And it's totally crazy because it'll come out of nowhere. And I'll be like, what the hell? Why are these thoughts all of a sudden in my head? You know, not like this. Don't worry about such things. And then when I'm stoned, I'm like, you laughed weird just now. You kind of laughed weird. Or, you said that. It probably didn't make sense to anybody, and it sounded like an idiot. So I don't normally like smoking weed. But anyway, on Belmont's 420 stream, I partook towards the end. And I got all fucked up. Well, part of it was I hadn't eaten all day. And when I got home from work, the stream was already going. So I was like, jumped right in and cracked a beer, and I hadn't eaten. And I cracked a beer, and before I know it, I drank like 4 or 5 beers. And then took a few hits towards the end of the stream, and then it was like, oh, the Sandman's coming. It was just like, yeah, you're out. You're useless at this point. So after the stream was over, I just napped. Took a nice long weed nap. And which was fine, but it was just a reminder that I'm like, you're not a piehead no more. There was a time. There was a time when I was all about it, and now I'm just like, man, it fucks me up so much. So, so anyway, that was 420. But it was good to hang out with Justin and all those people. Had a blast. Let's see what else. Not much else going on. I did. I was making some nachos tonight, cutting some habaneros and serrano peppers, which I put on just about everything. I put habanero peppers on pretty much everything I eat, which is burned my taste buds down to a point where I have to have habanero or I don't enjoy it. But and then I did the stupid thing of like rubbing my eye. So my eye was all fucked up for a while. And it reminded me of a time when I was very little. Well, not very little. Maybe, preteen. I was probably like 12, 13. And I was making something, and had chili piquin and was sprinkling it all over this stuff, just using my fingers, sprinkling it all over whatever. I was grabbing it out of there and sprinkling on whatever food I was making. And I remember I went and took a leak afterwards. Not thinking twice, And next thing I know, I'm like, oh, fuck. Why is my dick? It's like burning. It's burning. And so I was just this young kid. I remember I ran to my room. I was on my bed, stripped down. I'm like, what's going on? And I remember I was just grabbing myself and holding tight with that hand that I was just sprinkling shit that's covered in this chili residue, the cause of my pain. And I'm sitting there holding myself and rubbing myself. Just making it worse and worse, and just like screaming like, what is going on? And then it was like way later that it dawned on me, and it was like, oh, the peppers. Yeah. So anyway, I'm smart enough now not to take a piss after cutting habaneros or something. But every once in a while I forget and like rub my eye, and I'm like, ah. It's like being pepper sprayed almost. But that was a nice little story you had to hear. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up because I got not much else to talk about. Unconditional Shove, we are 100% done with artwork. Lettering is next step, and a lot of it has already been lettered, but James is doing the lettering, and he's very tied up with wrapping up the print, and the print's done, but fulfillment side, he's going to send a lot of shit my way. So, but he's made it very easy on me, which I appreciate. So I'll get that stuff. We'll get everything out in the mail, and once that's kind of out of the way, especially his responsibility, can go back to lettering, and then we'll go through this whole process all over again with Unconditional Shove. So, but that'll be one of the greatest, funnest moments for me. Very legitimizing, accomplished feeling I'm sure I'm going to have when I'm holding the book that I made in my hands. The only thing I can compare it to, which is, it's on a micro level, trust me, but is when my kids were born. Especially my oldest, because I remember, I hadn't been a dad before, but I always grown up thinking I would be a dad someday, right? And the girl's mom, at the time, she's getting bigger and bigger, and I could see her belly growing. I know things are going on, but she's experiencing it, so she's like, it's very tangible for her. But I'm like, oh yeah, your belly's getting bigger, and you have a hard time walking, and sleeping sucks, and you're kind of swelling up, and like all this shit that goes on. And I was really focused on taking care of her, but like people regularly like, are you excited? I'm like, yeah, of course I am, But it was a little bit of like trying to feign excitement because I'm like, it doesn't hit me until it's like right there, you know? And so we go to the hospital, and I'm just kind of like cool as a cucumber, you know, like, here, we got to do what we got to do. And it was actually a really long ordeal for my firstborn. But when it finally happened, when they hand you, here's your beautiful daughter, and they're tiny. They're so freaking tiny. But I just lost it. I was a blubbering freaking mess. And I was so proud, excited, happy, overcome. I was just like, the flood of emotion was insane. Like nothing I've ever experienced. That was probably the most insane flood of emotion I've ever experienced. So happy, so excited, so the reality just came to bear on me in that moment, and just holding this tiny little human, you know. Now she's 16, and you know, it's like it's a whole different thing. But that moment, man, and like I said, you grow up like, I'm gonna be a dad someday, and then you are one, you know, just like that. I mean, it's not just like that, but it feels kind of like just like that, because it wasn't real till it was real, you know. So I imagine that's going to be that similar, on a very micro level, a similar feeling that I'm going to, you know, get my book, Unconditional Shove Volume 1, and I'm just going to be like, it's fucking real. It's fucking real. I'm extremely excited for that. Oh, my camera. No, it didn't freeze up. I was just holding my hands. I'm like, my camera froze up with me doing this. Anyway, that's all I got. You know, be on the lookout. If you backed Magnificent Bastards, be on the lookout. You should be getting that here soon. And then Unconditional Shove, we're going to be going to print fairly soon. Like I said, got to wrap up all the lettering and make sure everything looks good. Give it a million once-overs, and then get that one to print and out. Exciting times. So anyway, if you made it this far in the video, I always feel like I should like buy you a beer or something, because like, hey, you know, it's kind of a long video and it's just me rambling about stupid shit. But I appreciate you for checking it out. I appreciate you for hanging out. If you haven't yet, strongly consider checking out and backing Unconditional Shove. Strongly consider checking out and backing Frog G, which I'll put the link in the description. And this image, or this picture here, is going out to the great Phantasmagorical, or Fanta as we all know her. And I will also put her link to her YouTube, where she highlights many, many campaigns. Pick and choose what you like, what you don't. She does a lot. So, thank you, everybody. Until next time, this is Odin. Take care, and yeah, we'll see you later.